Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So like the title says, I am here for a little mini review of this book. This is Relative Strangers by Paula Garner, and this was sent to me as part of a blog tour by Candlewick Press, so thank you so much Candlewick for sending this to me. I read Paula Garner's first book called Phantom Limbs, I'll insert a picture right here, last year, and I loved it. It's one of those YA contemporaries that's really hard-hitting, and I really don't think that it got the hype that it deserved. So this is her second book that is coming out, and this book technically came out today, so you can go pick up a copy of it today, but I also have a giveaway of this book going on, so stay tuned to the end of the video for the information on that. So in this book, we are following 18-year-old Jules as she is getting ready to graduate high school and kind of move on from her life. Jules is one of those people who is extremely self-aware and kind of anxious about herself as a person, and has always wanted a really close-knit family, a really close group of friends, but she's always felt somewhat excluded from her two best friends because they were friends prior to meeting her, so she always felt a little bit excluded from them, even though she has no reason to. And her family life has always just been her and her somewhat absent mother, and her mother was a teen mother, so she is a lot younger and also struggled with alcohol abuse in the past, so she's somewhat distant from Jules, and Jules just feels kind of alone in the world. So when she goes searching for a baby picture for her senior yearbook, she stumbles across the fact that she was actually in foster care from when she was about a year old until she was about 2.5-ish, with a family that loved her and adored her and actually wanted to adopt her. Meanwhile, her mother was in the process of recovering from being an alcoholic and kind of getting her life together and ended up taking Jules back. So Jules never knew that this ever happened and is kind of distraught over the fact that she could have had the life that she always dreamed for herself, and it was kind of taken away from her without her even knowing that this happened. So she reaches out to her kind of long-lost brother and rekindles this connection that she had with this family, and it's an entire story of her coming of age and accepting who she is in a family, in a friendship, in a relationship, and it's one of those books where there's just so much character development. Jules started out in this book being, in my opinion, somewhat irritating with how self-conscious she was. She just constantly pictured herself in situations and didn't think that she belonged anywhere. Over the course of the book, she starts to kind of like come into her own and realize that the relationships that she has in her life are really healthy and really good for her, and that she belongs where she is. So it's a story of her coming of age and finding her place in a family and in her friendships, but it's also a story of just kind of grieving and loss. This family that she found, that she loves, that was her foster family, is also going through a really traumatic event because the mother is actually in the process of dying from cancer. So we're experiencing a lot of rekindling relationships and at the same time losing relationships. So it's a really good balance between those two. So this book you think is going to go down the fluffy YA contemporary path. Like, you kind of see the plot line planned out and you're on board for it, but Paula Garner is really good at taking these really good YA contemporary plot lines and pulling a 180. She makes them extremely realistic. She just kind of doesn't take them down the road that you really want them to go down, and she makes it realistic and uncomfortable, and I love it. I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, but I really like that she takes things and makes them happen how they would actually happen. Things aren't always fluffy and a fairy tale ending, so this is definitely one of those books. She takes these new friendships and these new family dynamics that Jules is introduced to and kind of starts to deteriorate them because Jules starts to develop feelings for her long-last adoptive brother, and how that kind of just puts an obstacle in the middle of all these newly found relationships. And she doesn't take it down the road that you want it to go down, and I love that about it. Another thing that I love about Paula Garner's writing is that these are well-rounded characters. I definitely think that Jules started out with a very naive and very juvenile mindset and viewpoint on the world, and grows as a person and definitely learns how to appreciate her place in the world. But I also like that she's well-rounded. She's not just focused on these relationships in her life. She has interests outside of it. That's a point that I think has been kind of brought up a lot recently in YA, is that characters are not just the relationships that they're in, and they're not just the plot line that they're following in the story. They have interests and hobbies outside of it, and in this book, Jules is really into food. She's very into gourmet cooking and appreciating really great food, and she's really into antiquing and the concept of historical architecture and the lives that objects from the past have. And it's really nice to see that. So those are all of my pros for this book. I love this book. This book is one of those things that you finish reading it and you're just kind of like dwelling on the story. You're in the like heavy mindset of life and loss and relationships, and it lingers with you for a long time. The only con that I have of this is it's not super fast paced, and it's not one of the stories that is all the time enjoyable, so it's kind of hard to sit down and read it at all times. Like it's kind of dreary at some points. So for that reason, I didn't give it 5 stars, I gave it 4 stars because it still is lingering with me today. Like I finished reading this a while ago and I'm still thinking about it, so the characters definitely left an impression on me, and I highly recommend this book. I recommend Paula Gardner's writing in general. She's just really good at taking really good YA plot lines and just making them real. Like they're very nitty-gritty. It's not always pleasant. She's not scared to write the uncomfortable scenes and the awkward scenes that we go through as teenagers and as we're growing in life. I just love her writing. I can't sing its praises enough. If you are interested in getting your hands on a copy of this book, I have 3 copies that I can give away to you guys. So leave a comment down in the comment section down below saying that you would like to enter this giveaway. And this is US only, unfortunately. I'm sorry, you guys. So 3 of you can experience the story like I did. And if you're coming to me from the previous spot on the blog tour, hi, welcome. This is exciting to be included in a blog tour, even though I'm a YouTube channel, technically. I will also leave the blog tour linked down below so you can see everyone else's thoughts on this. Tomorrow's blog spot will be at Bound to Be Bookish, so I will leave this linked down below so you can follow the blog and potentially enter for the giveaway on other spots. But that is going to be it for my review of this. I highly recommend it, and I will see you guys in my next video.